Get out of my house, you homeless! My boyfriend screamed those words in my face while I stood there, 6 months pregnant, rain soaking through my sweater as I clutched my business receipts. Everyone knows your stupid pet toy shop is failing, he sneered, throwing my laptop bag onto the wet driveway. I'm done supporting a loser. I just nodded, picked up my things, and left without a word. 2 months later, when my business hit $1.2 million in monthly revenue, I bought his foreclosed house at auction. This morning, he saw the billboard I rented across from his workplace with his face and the caption, "Guess who's the real clown now?" I still remember the rain dripping down my face, mixing with silent tears as I loaded what little I could fit into my beat-up Honda Civic that night. 6 months pregnant, no home, and a business everyone told me would fail. Tyler had made sure. I knew exactly what he thought of me before I left. Posting those humiliating photos of our empty fridge, my unsold inventory piled in the spare room, screenshots of my nearly empty business account. Living with a delusional entrepreneur, he'd captioned it, tagging all our mutual friends. His buddies had laughed, commenting things like, "Cut your losses, bro," and "Pregnant and broke. Run." What Tyler didn't know as I drove away was that I wasn't broken. I was finally free, and that freedom would cost him everything. Updated. Thank you all for the overwhelming support on this post. I'm completely blown away by your comments and messages. To answer the most common question, yes, I kept all the receipts and screenshots of his social media posts. Those would come in handy later, as you'll see. Would you have left that night or fought to stay? I met Tyler 3 years ago at a friend's housewarming party where he charmed me with stories about his real estate ambitions. He seemed driven, focused, everything I aspired to be as I was just starting my own business. Pause and Play, an online shop selling handcrafted pet toys. I'd always been crafty, spending weekends designing durable toys that my sister's destructive Labrador couldn't tear apart. When friends started requesting custom toys for their pets, a business was born. The first year with Tyler was blissful. He'd bring me coffee while I stayed up late fulfilling the small trickle of orders. He'd brainstorm marketing ideas and celebrate each tiny milestone. My entrepreneur girlfriend, he'd proudly tell his friends, painting this picture of dating a future mogul. But the reality wasn't as glamorous as he imagined. E-commerce is brutally competitive, and scaling a handmade product business required patience. Every dollar I made went back into better materials, website improvements, and marketing that barely moved the needle. By year 2, Tyler's supportive facade began cracking. Still playing with dog toys? He'd joke when his colleagues asked about my work. He'd sigh loudly when I mentioned needing to reinvest, rather than splurge on the expensive restaurants he preferred. It's been a year already. Amazon sellers make 6 figures in months, not years, he'd remind me while showing off listings of houses he couldn't quite afford yet. When I'd point out that building a sustainable business takes time, he'd roll his eyes. Time is money, babe, and yours isn't making any. Things really shifted when I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, but I was cautiously excited. Tyler seemed happy too at first. Then came the questions. How would I support a child with a hobby business? Would I finally get a real job with maternity leave? His real estate career was taking off, but not enough to support 3 people, and your expensive entrepreneurial fantasy, as he put it. Still, I held on to hope, working harder than ever between bouts of morning sickness, determined to make Pause and Play successful before our baby arrived. I'd spent those months developing a completely new concept, customizable, interactive pet toys with a subscription model. Market research showed promise, and I'd found a small manufacturer willing to produce a test batch at reasonable costs. All I needed was 3 more months to launch. 3 months Tyler wasn't willing to give me. That rainy night wasn't actually random. Earlier that day, I'd received an email from a major pet retailer expressing interest in my prototype designs. It wasn't a guaranteed deal, but it was the most promising lead I'd had in years. I'd rushed home, excited to share the news, only to find Tyler hosting an impromptu gathering with his work friends in our living room. I remember his face when I walked in. Not happiness for my potential breakthrough, but embarrassment. I wasn't dressed for company in my oversized pregnancy. Sweater and leggings, hair pulled back in a messy bun after a day of packing orders. One of his friends had smirked. So this is the famous entrepreneur girlfriend? Another had asked if my toys were made in China, because his dog had standards. They'd laughed. Tyler had laughed too, louder than necessary. Later, as his friends left, I'd tried showing him the email. He barely glanced at it before launching into a speech about facing reality and how we needed to grow up before the baby arrived. He'd pulled up my business accounts on his phone, accounts I'd shared with him when we were partners in everything, showing a graph of my minimal profits over 3 years. This is embarrassing, he'd said, voice rising with each word. My colleagues' wives have careers, not crafting hobbies. That's when I'd mentioned the manufacturer and my subscription box idea. I'd shown him projections, explaining excitedly that this could be the turning point. Projections aren't profits. He'd interrupted, patience visibly thinning. We're having a baby in 3 months, and all you can talk about is dog toys? Are you that delusional? The argument escalated from there. Every frustration he'd been bottling up came pouring out. How he was tired of carrying me, how his coworkers pitied him, how he deserved better than a girlfriend who couldn't contribute financially to his household. When I reminded him that I paid half our bills with my savings while building my business, he'd scoffed. And now those savings are gone, aren't they? What's your plan for our child? Make them chew on unsold inventory? That's when I knew. This wasn't about money. It wasn't about security for our baby. It was about image. His image. I wasn't the successful trophy girlfriend he'd imagined. Showing off, I was a burden, an embarrassment he couldn't explain to his status-conscious friends. And if he felt that way now, nothing I could ever achieve would be enough. Updated. I'm reading all your comments and feeling so validated. Many of you have asked about my business's dramatic turnaround. I'll explain exactly how it happened, including the manufacturer call that changed everything and what I did during those 2 months after leaving. Did Tyler underestimate me? Absolutely. But did I underestimate myself too? Something shifted inside me that night as the rain soaked through my clothes. Standing there, watching Tyler toss 3 years of my life onto the wet pavement, I felt an unfamiliar emotion cut through. The hurt. Pure, clarifying anger. Not the destructive kind that makes you scream and throw things, but the transformative kind that hardens into determination. I drove to my sister Megan's apartment, where she took one look at my face and wordlessly helped carry my bags inside. "You can stay as long as you need," she said, making up her couch, with blankets and pillows. That night, unable to sleep, I sat with my laptop at her kitchen table and made 3 critical decisions. First, I would completely rebrand and pivot to the subscription model immediately, not in 3 months. Second, I would reach out to that pet retailer at 8 a.m. sharp with a comprehensive proposal, not just a tentative response. And third, I would never, again, let anyone make me feel small for pursuing my dreams. By sunrise, I had completely redesigned my business plan. My hands shook with exhaustion and prenatal jitters, but my mind was clearer than it had been in years. I wasn't just building a business anymore. I was building a future for myself and my child, a future where we didn't need anyone's validation or approval. That morning, the real work began. While Tyler was busy crafting his social media narrative about our breakup, portraying himself as the reasonable one who had to cut ties with a financially irresponsible partner, I was laying the groundwork for what would become the greatest comeback of my life. Over the next 2 months, I executed my new business strategy with military precision. My first call was to that interested retailer, Pause Premier. Instead of timidly suggesting a potential collaboration, I confidently pitched my subscription box concept, complete with manufacturing details, membership tiers, and revenue projections. We weren't considering a subscription model, the purchasing manager admitted. But this is exactly what our customer data shows they want. Within a week, I had a preliminary agreement for Pause Premier to feature my subscription boxes in their Innovation Spotlight section, prime real estate in their 500-plus stores nationwide. The catch? I needed to deliver 10,000 units in less than 2 months. I immediately contacted the manufacturer I'd been speaking with, leveraging the retailer agreement to negotiate better terms. With my sister's help, I applied for an emergency small business loan, using the retailer contract as collateral. Working 18-hour days from Megan's living room, I refined designs, built a pre-order website, and crafted a marketing strategy targeting pet influencers with free samples. My pregnancy became my unexpected marketing advantage. I launched a social media campaign, from bump to business, building a legacy one toy at a time, documenting my journey as an expectant mother creating a business for her child's future. Each post contrasted my growing belly with my growing company, resonating particularly with women who saw themselves in my determination. Meanwhile, Tyler was doing what Tyler did best, talking. Through mutual friends, I heard he was spinning tales about me, learning my lesson, and finally facing reality. He posted subtle digs about dodging bullets and shared photos from expensive restaurants with various women. What he didn't know was that every dismissive comment, every public attempt to humiliate me, was fueling the fire that kept me working past exhaustion. 4 weeks after leaving Tyler's house, my Pause and Play premium subscription box went viral when a major pet influencer with 3.2 million followers shared an unboxing video of our prototype. "I've never seen my husky so obsessed with a toy," she gushed, showing her dog's genuine excitement. By morning, we had 50,000 pre-orders, 5 times what I needed for the retailer agreement. By week 6, I needed to hire staff and secure warehouse space. The business loan came through just in time, along with an unexpected investment offer from a venture capital firm that specialized in direct-to-consumer startups. They'd seen our viral moment and recognized the potential. Their offer was meaningful, but their expertise in scaling operations was priceless. As my due date approached, my company grew faster than my belly. We processed over 200,000 subscription signups in the first month, establishing a $2.4 million annual recurring revenue base practically overnight. The manufacturer scrambled to keep up with demand, and Paw's Premier requested exclusivity rights, which I strategically declined. Keeping direct-to-consumer as our primary channel, Tyler, of course, noticed none of this. He was too busy with his real estate empire, a handful of mediocre listings and a leased BMW he could barely afford. I knew this because his colleague, Jacob, who'd always been subtly kinder than the others, reached out to congratulate me after seeing our products in stores. Tyler has no idea, he confided. He still thinks you're probably waiting tables somewhere. That's when I learned Tyler was facing foreclosure on his house, the very house he'd thrown me out of. The market had turned, his commission checks had dried up, and his extravagant lifestyle had caught up with him. The house would be auctioned in 2 weeks. I could have felt sorry for him. I could have even helped him. My business was now generating over $1 million monthly in revenue. But as I sat in my new office, watching my team of 24 employees fulfilling orders, I remembered the rain on my face that night, the sting of his words, the humiliation of those social media posts. 2 weeks later, I placed the winning bid on Tyler's foreclosed house, purchasing through an LLC to keep my name hidden. The same day, I authorized another purchase, a massive billboard directly across from his real estate office. For the next month, every time Tyler looked out his office window, he'd see his own scowling face alongside the caption, "Guess who's the real clown now?" Pause and play. From startup to $1 million success in 60 days. Petty? Perhaps. Satisfying? Absolutely. The day after the billboard went up, I received a call from a number I hadn't seen in months. Tyler's voice was different, humble, almost frightened. "Can we talk?" he asked. "I've made a huge mistake," I smiled, though he couldn't see it through the phone. "Yes," I said calmly, "you certainly have." It was raining again when Tyler arrived at my office, a beautiful downtown space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Poetic, considering the weather when we'd last seen each other. I'd arranged for my assistant to escort him in, making him wait in the lobby just long enough to see the Forbes magazine featuring my company prominently displayed on the coffee table. When he finally entered my office, his eyes widened. I looked different. Not just because I was now holding our beautiful 1-month-old daughter, Aria, but because success had given me something money couldn't buy. Unshakable confidence. "This is impressive," he managed, eyes darting around the modern space where teams of people were bustling about, fulfilling orders and planning marketing campaigns. "I had no idea you'd actually made it work." "That was always the problem, wasn't it?" I replied coolly, adjusting Aria in my arms. "You never actually believed in me?" Tyler shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "About the house," he began. "I understand you bought it at auction." I nodded. "I did. I was hoping we could talk about that," he continued, eyes fixed on the floor. "I've been staying with a friend, but it's not ideal. I was wondering if maybe, given our history and," he gestured toward Aria, "our connection, you might consider selling it back to me. I can get a loan or maybe a payment plan." I couldn't help but laugh. "A payment plan like I'm some kind of bank?" "I know I don't deserve any favors," he said quickly. "But that house, it means a lot to me. And the billboard. Did you have to make it so public? My boss saw it. Everyone saw it. Like the posts you made about me. The ones where you called me delusional and broke. The ones where you tagged all our friends." I kept my voice level, conscious of the sleeping baby in my arms. "Those were pretty public too." He had the decency to look ashamed. I was upset, scared about the baby, about money. I lashed out, and "I'm sorry." "You were scared?" I raised an eyebrow. "I was 6 months pregnant, Tyler. You threw me out in the rain. You humiliated me online. You made sure everyone knew what a failure you thought I was." "I know. And I was wrong. Obviously, very wrong." He gestured around the office. "You've built something incredible here." There was a time when those words would have meant everything to me. Validation from the person whose opinion I'd valued most. Now, they felt hollow, unnecessary. "The house isn't for sale," I said firmly. "And neither is my forgiveness, Tyler's." Face fell. "What about Aria? Don't you think she deserves to have her father in her life? In her home?" That was low, even for him. "Her home is with me. As for having you in her life, that's a separate conversation. One that depends entirely on whether you can be the kind of father she deserves." "And what kind is that?" he asked, a hint of his old defensiveness returning. "The kind who values her dreams no matter how unlikely they seem. The kind who builds her up instead of tearing her down. The kind who sees her worth beyond what she can do for your image." I stood up, signaling that our meeting was over. "When you can be that person, we'll talk about visitation." He stood too, desperation clear in his eyes. "What about the billboard? It's killing me professionally. Nobody wants to work with a realtor being publicly humiliated." The billboard stays up for the full month I paid for, I said. Consider it a small taste of what I felt reading your posts that night. As my assistant showed him out, Tyler turned back one last time. I really am sorry, he said softly. I should have believed in you. I just nodded. Yes, you should have. After he left, I sat in my office holding my sleeping daughter, reflecting on the journey of the past few months. The billboard wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about reclaiming my narrative, showing the world and myself that I wasn't the failure he'd labeled me. The house wasn't about being petty. Either it was about security, about creating a stable home for Arya where no one could ever throw us out again. When I moved back in the following week, I redecorated completely, erasing every trace of Tyler and creating a space that reflected my taste, my success, my vision, updated. Final update on this crazy journey. To clarify, I have established a trust for Arya that includes the house and a portion of company profits. Tyler does have supervised visitation, which is going as well as expected. As for those asking if I'd ever take him back, the man who kicked me out in the rain at my lowest moment? What do you think? Can someone earn back trust after completely shattering it once? It's been a year since that rainy night when my life fell apart and then miraculously rebuilt itself stronger than before. Pause and Play now employs over 50 people and generates consistent 8-figure annual revenue. We've expanded into cat, toys, small animal enrichment products, and even a line of pet-friendly home decor. The house, my house, has become a beautiful home for Arya and me, filled with laughter and none of the tension that characterized my time there with Tyler. As for Tyler, he eventually landed at another real estate firm across town after the billboard came down. We communicate only through a co-parenting app, and he sees Arya twice a week under my sister's supervision. He's trying. I'll give him that much. Whether it's genuine growth or simply the performance of a man who knows he's being watched remains to be seen. Sometimes when I watch him with our daughter, I catch glimpses of the man I thought I knew, the one who once brought me coffee during late-night packing sessions and celebrated my first 100 sales. But then I remember his face that night, contempt dripping from every word as he called me a homeless bitch and threw my dreams onto the wet pavement. Some words can't be unsaid. Some actions can't be undone. The strangest part of success is how it changes how others see you. Those same friends who laughed at Tyler's humiliating posts now send me business proposals and investment opportunities. His colleagues who once smirked at my crafting hobby connect with me on LinkedIn, highlighting our mutual connections. Even his mother, who once suggested I find something practical to do, now proudly tells her friends about her successful entrepreneur daughter-in-law. But I've learned to recognize fair-weather relationships for what they are. My inner circle has shrunk to those who believed in me before the Forbes feature. Before the $1 million months, my sister who gave up her living room, the first employee who worked for equity when I couldn't afford salaries, the few friends who never questioned whether my dreams were practical or realistic. Success didn't change me. It revealed me, to myself and to everyone else. It showed me my own strength, my resilience, and my capacity to build something meaningful, even when the world and the father of my child told me I was delusional. Looking back, I realized Tyler did me the biggest favor of my life that rainy night. By hitting my rock bottom, pregnant, homeless, and publicly humiliated, I found a determination I never knew I possessed. Sometimes you need to lose everything to realize how much you're capable of building on your own. If you're reading this and facing your own rock bottom moment, remember, other people's limitations aren't yours. Their lack of vision isn't your reality. Sometimes the person who believes in you the least gives you the greatest opportunity to prove, to yourself, not to them, just how capable you truly are. As for the billboard, I don't regret it. Not really. Was it petty? Yes. Was it precisely the closure I needed to move forward? Also, yes, we all heal differently from betrayal, and sometimes healing looks like a 48-foot reminder that the person who threw you away made the biggest mistake of their life. The question I get asked most often now isn't about pet toys or subscription business models. It's whether I would ever consider giving Tyler another chance romantically now that he's seen the light. My answer is always the same. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ashes, not out of bitterness, but because crossing them again would require forgetting the valuable lessons learned when they collapsed beneath you the first time. Tyler didn't believe in me when belief was all I needed. He chose his image over my well-being at my most vulnerable moment. Now he wants back into a life built without him, foundations laid during the very time he was publicly mocking me. That's not love. It's opportunism. Trust. Once shattered, is like one of those shredding machines in an office. You can't unshred the paper. You can only start with a new blank sheet, and my new sheet is looking pretty darn good without his signature on it.